legs to run, honey. Without legs to run, honey. And I went crying, snowman, don't you shed a tear. Oh, hear my secrets if you don't have ears, baby. If you don't have ears, baby. I want you to know that I'm never leaving, 'cause I miss the snow till death will be freezing. Yeah, you are my home for all seasons. So come on, let's go. Let's go below zero and hide from the sun. I love you forever, we'll have some fun. Yes, let's hit the North Pole and live happily. Please don't cry no tears now, it's Christmas, baby. My snowman and me, yeah. My snowman and me, baby.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where those treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Well, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white, and may all your Christmases be white. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Hey, everyone. Happy holidays. Hopefully, everyone's started on their Christmas shopping, or happy Hanukkah to those of you who celebrate Hanukkah. So, we have both Mel and myself today. So, Mel will be producing. Mel, I'm getting reverb back from you, so I'm going to I'm gonna mute you. All right, so yeah, so hopefully all of you have been good. Appreciate all of you being patient with me while we work to get out all of this content. Some exciting news on this side. We had three actors come over yesterday, and we did an interviewing them on set, which was really cool. And I'll be posting that video for those of you who are interested in breaking into Hollywood, becoming an actor, and just kind of learning about their journey and how they, what they overcame and what they went through in order to get where they are. So hopefully, as part of the Behind the Lens series, it's a show that all of you would be intrigued to see. It was a really good conversation, so if I should say so myself. Now, in addition to that, we are also going to be filming a cinematic lighting course today. So Christopher Sincamani, one of the actors, will actually be joining us on set to do a cinematic lighting course. He's going to be coming over actually in a couple hours to do that. So for those of you who have been wanting a narrative film lighting course to better understand how to light sets, specifically, turning daylight into nightlight. So even though it was shot during the day, making it look like it was shot at night, as well as other types of lighting techniques. I think this is going to be a video that all of you will really appreciate and get a lot of value from. So that's pretty much it for this week on the content. We're also going to be posting a blog on different lighting techniques as well. T. Lopez asks, how many months did you grind coloring before feeling confident? Oh, man. I don't know, maybe where I felt like I actually kind of had an idea, or, a good idea that I knew what I was doing, was probably about 8 months, maybe 8 months to a year. I think after I would say probably about 8 to 12 months in is when I started to feel like I had a good grasp over the tools, over, theory, just, being a better colorist. And, I hang my ego at the door, so that's a good question, by the way, T. Lopez. But I hang my ego at the door, and I'm always trying to wake up every morning wanting to learn more. I just feel like you can't stop learning. It needs to be kind of one of those things where you don't want to get complacent and really just become stagnant. And so, I think it's important that, you really kind of never get comfortable, right? But I would say probably about maybe the year mark is when I started to feel like I had a good grasp on workflow. See, the thing about me that all of you will hopefully learn about me is I'm very methodical when it comes to doing really anything. You've seen that in the lucid chart diagrams and illustrations that I've created for all of you in the past. Even wiring this color suite and chaining everything together, I create diagrams. I don't just start running cable. I'm a big believer in Abraham Lincoln's quote: if I had 8 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. So I think, just I spend that 6 hours sharpening my axe on anything. And so I tend to really over prepare, and I'm very workflow oriented. So for me, really getting a grasp and understanding of that workflow. And when I sit down to color grade a show, so when we get done with done with production, and we wrap, and then it officially goes into post-production, I want to understand from day one of post-production, what is my process? What is my process for editing? Because one of the things that all of you have noticed, and we're going to be going into that today, is not only am I the color grader, but I'm also the editor. So, I have to grapple with all those nuances and trying to juggle both hats and both roles. But the neat thing about that is that when I'm on set and I'm directing, I'm already thinking about that post-production process. So when Mel is, behind the camera and she's getting shots, and, I'm getting asked questions about certain angles and, coverage, right? Trying to get that all the coverage that I need for that shot. I'm already thinking about I already have editing in my mind. I'm already thinking about that post-production process and what I need in order to just really put together all of the shots that I need. So, just being that sort of Jane of all trades, master of a few, is super important, I think, in directing and filmmaking. And so you have a good understanding while you're on set of you're already thinking through that editing process. So I know that was probably more than what you were asking for, T, but hopefully I answered your question. I would say started to really feel confident, like I had a really good grasp of my workflow. I had a really good grasp of what it is I needed to do when I sat down at my seat. Is probably around 8 to 12 month mark. So keep at it. Just it's a journey for all of us, and hopefully all of you are getting value out of this time we spend together in my color suite. Willie, good to see you. Hello, Germany. I'm sorry we started so late. For those of you who are across the Atlantic and joining us at probably like 8 to 9 p.m. right now, and also in Asia, we have community members in Sudan, in South Africa, all over the place, Germany, Latin America. So I try and get these done early. Unfortunately, I had several meetings this morning and it overlapped the 9 o'clock. So I apologize. I will try and stick to that 9 a.m. live stream time for all of you so we can try and accommodate a comfortable time frame for everyone so you guys and girls aren't all staying up too late. Yeah, 9 p.m. Thanks for joining us, Willie. I know it's late there. All right. So are all of you ready to edit? We actually, so in the last episode, we ran into an issue with relinking and changing the source folder, and dealing through, and that's the thing with live streams is we have to deal with bugs. We have to deal with Davinci crashing. We have to deal with these nuances that we all face in our jobs. So when Davinci crashes or a function isn't working as it's supposed to, it's something we all need to work through, right? So whether you're on a live stream or not, and I think that's probably why very few people do editing and color grading over live streams. It's you can just run into too many issues and challenges, or trying to remember where a tool is, or how to use a particular tool, or how to, or just it's doing that in front of an audience of people that are watching you is very intimidating, and I'm okay with that. And one of the things you'll learn about me is I'm okay with being uncomfortable, because for me it's an opportunity for all of us to learn together, and it creates this sort of 360-degree learning environment that I think a lot of you appreciate on this channel. Jumato asks, will there be a video on grading monitors? Greetings from Austria. Hey, Austria. Actually, you know what? We haven't announced it yet, but we have been greenlit for a new TV series, and we are actually going to be filming in Austria. So we'll need to try and get together while we're up in Austria, and hopefully have some coffee with some of you when we're traveling abroad and filming different episodes. So thanks for the content. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be doing it. Yeah, so as all of you know, I did purchase the Flanders Scientific DM160 for Black Friday. Flanders Scientific was doing a $1,000 off, and so it's yeah. Willie, when am I going to Austria? So we are going to be going back to set on March 1st. So we have until January 31st. And I do want to talk about that. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Willie. So because Mel and I have been greenlit for this new TV series, it's going to be a very large production, a significant budget. And so we will be traveling abroad for that series. Now, one of the things is that because we will be arriving, because we will be going back to set on March 1st. That means that Mel and I have until January 31st to get all of the screenplays done for the entire first season. So we're super excited about it. We're excited about the distribution. It will be a SAG-AFTRA contract, so we're super excited about that. So it will be a SAG-AFTRA new media contract, so it will be over streaming distribution. This is a really exciting time for our studio right now. We look forward to all of you being a part of that journey. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of vlogging while we're traveling and filming the series. We are actually going to be hiring an individual who will be dedicated to doing nothing but BTS camera work, so we can turn those into some amazing content for all of you to learn from. And I think one of the things that is few and far between that you don't see on YouTube much is a lot of BTS, a lot of behind the scenes on sets, on scripted narrative film sets. So, when we go back to set to film this new season and series, we're planning on investing a lot in creating BTS footage for all of you to see and learn from when we're on set. So, yep, Mark's in Nigeria. Yeah. So, okay, I know a lot of the questions are pouring in. Thank you, everyone, for being so talkative during these streams. I'm going to jump into editing so we can get started, and I'll start hitting these questions one by one as we take these little small breaks for me to answer questions. Mel will be going off of mute and reading the questions out loud to me as we go through them. And there's one other thing that I want to cover before we dive into the editing. So, two things I want to cover. Because we need to get all 10 episodes written before March 1st, it means that I'm going to have to probably scale back my content. It is a lot easier for me to do live streams because I don't need to do any editing or post-production work on it. So I'll probably be scaling back the videos that I upload and probably continuing with the live streams. So for those of you who actually enjoy the live streams more, let us know. Obviously, we want to know if this is something you enjoy. And understand that because we need to meet these writing deadlines, just to give you an idea, just the character profiles, all right, just the character profiles, the write-up on all the main characters, lead characters, and supporting characters, all of that was 126 pages just on the characters. So, I talk a lot about pre-production on this channel and screenwriting, and we had Jamie Nash, author of Save the Cat, on Behind the Lens. You'll hear me say this a lot. Before you walk into any production, for those of you who are directors, who are filmmakers, as well as colorists and editors, you need to know who your characters are before you start writing. I know the exciting thing is to immediately jump into the writing process and start writing scenes and start writing dialogue. You cannot do that until you know who your characters are. Who are these characters? What is their shard of glass? What is it that really is broken about them that will help indicate to you what their character arc or their journey is going to be, sometimes referred to as the hero's journey. So for those of you who are writers and you're screenwriting, please don't start writing. I know it's kind of like wanting to jump immediately to opening presents under the Christmas tree, but you got to do the hard stuff first, which is really trying to write up these character profiles. Now, for those of you who are like, Alyssa, how do you write a character profile? What goes into it? I'm actually going to be publishing the template that I use for that. So I will probably write a blog or something and also create a video and explain this to all of you on character profile development, because it is so important to know who your protagonist and your antagonist is. For those of you who are writing shows where there's multiple protagonists, like for example, Chicago PD, it's really difficult, for example, in FBI or Chicago PD, when you have a team, an FBI team, and or a team of policemen and policewomen, that who is the actual one protagonist. So, I'm going to help demystify a lot of that for you. But to answer that question, it's whoever has the furthest to go. It's whoever has the most, the biggest hero's journey, the biggest transformation is usually your protagonist. So while you may want to say, well, all of those people are my protagonists, it's rare to have more than one protagonist. It is done, but it's very rare. So you really want to not lose your audience. You want your audience to really focus in on just one hero that they're rooting for, one person that they're rooting for that save the cat moment. So okay, and then finally, I want to talk about the editing process for Multicam. So when you go on YouTube and you look at the Multicam tutorial videos, which are a lot of the same videos that I watched, right? One of the things that I discovered very early on, and actually as part of this community, is you can't follow those videos the same way when you're editing Multicam for scripted narrative. In scripted narrative, you have hundreds, if not thousands of clips. All right. And a lot of the videos on YouTube that you'll watch for multicam, what they're doing is they're going to put one, and then, for example, two, they'll put a second camera, maybe they'll put a third one, and they'll record maybe like a minute or 2 minutes of footage. And then each one of those cameras, first of all, will probably be recording sound. And so they'll throw it into their Davinci timeline, and then they'll just select everything and say, create multicam clip. Now, that is what got me when attempting to do that and move to the multicam clip feature within Davinci. You can't do that in scripted narrative. Here's why. Number one, external sound recorder is a thing. So, you will never be using a microphone in camera on a scripted narrative set. I've never seen it. It will never happen on a feature film or on a TV series. Secondly, in those situations on a scripted narrative set, you have a bunch of B-roll. You have a bunch of B-roll, and that B-roll may be happening at the same time, depending on if you're using time code, first of all, if you're using time code generators or you're trying to waveform. But when you're creating multicam clips, you've also got a bunch of B-roll that you need to deal with for that same scene. And we'll be looking at that, and I'll be showing you that within Davinci Resolve. But that's another thing, is it has nothing to do with the scene. There's no dialogue. It's just B-roll of what's happening in the room. Maybe it's a close-up of someone's hand while they're writing. You'll see that in this episode as we're grading it for Wicked Panda, which we're going to go through. Now, I've started us from scratch, so we're going to be creating those multicam clips together, but I'm going to show you why you can't follow those traditional YouTube videos on multicam editing in scripted narrative when you're dealing with that. The other thing is that you may have a scene where there will only be one camera, right? So there's no multicam, right? So you'll see this in Wicked Panda, where, for example, in several of our scenes, Mel was the primary, she's our DP, and she had a camera operator, Julio, and she was, we couldn't fit two cameras in the scene. So Julio, our camera op, wasn't able to actually have his camera filming. So we had to move that camera out of scene and turn it off, and there was only one camera. So if you highlight all of the clips, the B-roll, the cam A, the cam B, the cam C, and you try and create, as well as all the sound, and try and create a multicam clip, it's not going to work. It's going to be totally broken. You're going to see a lot of black screens. So what you need to do with multicam clip editing in scripted narrative is create one multicam clip per scene at a time. So per scene, per take, right? Because remember, just because you have a scene doesn't mean that, so scene one, take one, you're using two cameras. Maybe in scene one, take two, you're not using that second camera. All right. So something to think about, and I will show you how I was able to get this to work and work for me. And so definitely put in the comments if any of you guys or girls have a different approach to this. But yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Willie. I'm glad all of you enjoy these live streams. It's awesome. So do I. I love doing these live streams. Okay, let's get to business. All right. Okay, so I want to go through here. Mel, let me know. Mel, go ahead and come off mute, but let me know if you can see my screen or if there's any issues with seeing my screen. Okay. All right. Mel, you are not on mute. I can't hear you. Make sure your microphone, the right microphone is selected in Restream. Okay. I think Mel's having IT issues today. All right. So here we go. Now, what I did, I want to quickly go over what I ended up doing with each one of these clips. All right. So first and foremost, let's just quickly go over my tree. Now we're starting from scratch. So for those of you who've missed previous live streams or jumped in the middle of it, we're starting from the ground floor. So all of the let's pretend that I've called wrap and we're now on day 1 of post-production. Editing is beginning. Okay. So I have imported all of the footage. I've created bins. So I've got an A roll bin, a B roll bin, and a C roll bin. I've flipped back and forth between A cam and A roll and B cam and B roll. One thing I don't like about using A roll is B roll conflicts with B cam. So I'll have B cam and B roll. So it's pretty confusing and misleading for some people. So I guess we can kind of go in here and just really quickly rename these bins, and it will not break anything. Remember, with bins, you're not actually doing anything or manipulating anything at the file system level. It's only within Davinci Resolve. All right, so let's go ahead and just rename this because we want to create a B-roll bin. Now, there's another thing. So for those of you who've heard the term B-roll and the term inserts, it's actually 2 different things. So what people will do is they'll download, I think I've even seen the stock footage sites call it this, but they'll go out to like a stock footage site like Adobe Stock, or hopefully you're not using that for scripted, but something like Film Pack or Artlist, some actual very cinematic stock footage, and they'll download it and they'll call it B-roll. Those are actually inserts, not B-rolls. So B-roll to me, when I'm on set and I have my DP filming B-roll, they'll be filming, like, for example, something where there's no dialogue, right? They'll film maybe a hand on a mouse or a hand on a keyboard or a hand grabbing a coffee cup from an actor. That's B-roll, right? When you're downloading stock video footage and you're throwing it into your timeline, that's actually called an insert. So there's some people who may disagree and they have a different word for it, but in my circles where that I frequent, we call those are inserts, and anything you film on set as non-dialogue, just sort of supporting your story, telling the story, is B-roll. All right, so we'll call that A cam, B cam, C cam. And I would recommend that all of you have just a template that you create for every new project, so you don't get into this thing where you can't remember the names of bins or anything like that. You just stick to one sort of template. I love to templatize things if I can. So I'll create a new bin here, and we will call it B-roll. Okay, so you can see here I have A cam, B cam, C cam, VFX, inserts, and B-roll. VFX is any footage that I get from our VFX artists. So when we take a scene and we render it out as ProRes and we give it to our VFX artists, they'll come in and use that and then create the final shot. And then I'll actually place it into its own bin called VFX. Inserts, this is, again, like we talked about, is going to be stock video footage, and then B-roll is the actual B-roll. So now let's talk about the camera number and the scene number and the take number. Right click here if you don't see those columns. I will actually uncheck a lot of the default columns just because I don't care about them, and to me it's just adding more crap to the scene. I want to eliminate as much crap and noise on my scene as I can, so I really just leave only certain columns down. So I'll just unselect everything, and I'll just go, okay, I want scene number, I want take number. I already know that I've got proxies, so I don't care about that. And then I will put in whether or not there's a sound sync or not. So audio, where's that at? Can't remember what it's called. Is it sound sync? Synced audio. So, whether or not it's actually got synced audio or not. Okay, that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll look at a file path, but just once I've got everything already imported in, I've got the scene and take number documented, I don't really add that. And then camera number. So camera number, scene number, and take number, those are all I really care about. So here, if we highlight these individual, and Mel, I don't know what's going on with your mic, but I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yep, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now within sounds, I've talked about this before, but I'll usually dialogue is you'll hear sound supervisors and composers. They'll refer to it as DLG. All right. So I'll create a DLG bin, a sound effects bin, ambient, Foley, ADR, and score. Maybe I'll do a video explaining all the different sound types, but I will place DLG into its own sub bin. So if we take ACAM, BCAM, and DLG and we highlight it, you can see that for the sake of clarity, the sound devices mix pre-10 will actually put sound devices mix pre-10 in the camera number column. I'll typically erase that. So I'll show you how to do that. You just highlight all of it, go over here, set a camera number, and then hit save, and it will change the camera number over every file name and set it to DLG. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right. So
we have a question from T. Lopez. How can we network our coloring and editing services? This is more of a generic question, just because he says he's an introvert, kind of like pony masher, but he wants to know how you can pretty much get some PR or get some marketing to get his services out there.
How can we network our coloring and editing service? I'm kind of yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up, because we were actually talking about that when I was interviewing the actors yesterday, and how important networking is. All of you need to understand this. You really need to come out of your shell, and I know it's difficult for some people, but you really need to come out of your shell and network and meet people. It is so important as a colorist, as an editor in film, as a director, as a DP, as anything. You need to network, and we talked about this at good length yesterday. And Mel, feel free to add here, but Mel and I know I'm way more extroverted than Mel, whereas Mel's more introverted, more quiet, more, you can see from our personalities on these live streams, like I'm a lot more talkative and outspoken. So if you are introverted and you have difficulty with that, you really need to work on it, because it's going to help you in getting jobs. If you're a freelance colorist, it's going to help you in getting new opportunities. If you're a director or if you're a DP, getting new opportunities, referrals from other colorists, like meeting other colorists, learning from them, getting to know them. Ask them for virtual coffee. Say, hey, look, I really like your work. I'd love to sit down with a virtual coffee with you. I've had multiple virtual coffees, and we just had one with Casey Ferris. So, it's a good opportunity to sit down with someone that you want to learn from, that you want to kind of network with, and have virtual coffee with them. Reach out to them, say hi. A lot of people, especially influencers, especially people who have YouTube channels and are content creators, a lot of times they're very extroverted as well, and want to meet others and understand the importance of networking. So yeah, T. Lopez, really work on that, because it's going to help you in getting jobs and opportunities. Okay, so let's do this. So I've highlighted ACAM, BCAM, and DLG. And now you can see clearly which one's dialogue, which one's ACAM, which one's BCAM, the scene number and the take number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take scene one, take one for the DLG, scene one, take one for Cam A, and scene one, take one for Cam B. Now, one of the things that I found, I don't know why. Here, you know what? I'm actually going to help with this reverb. Let me switch to external headphones.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that, because I'm wearing headphones for the audio.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I learned, for some reason, when I right click and I say create new multicam clip, and you try and do the audio syncing with this, and you change it to, say, for example, sound or time code, it doesn't seem to work. What happens is, here, let me show you. Watch what happens. If I set this to sound, right? Because remember, this was the first episode filmed a year ago. So at the time, we didn't have time code. So we were actually doing all of our audio syncing manually. But in any case, I'm going to uncheck that. I don't like to have my clips moved into an original clips bin. And I'm just going to create this. Okay. And I typically change the file name, the multi-clip name to the scene number and the take number. So I'll do S1T1. Okay, create. Okay, so what happens, and I don't know why, but if I drop this here, all right, and then I go, you want to make sure that you guys and girls, you're on multicam. Okay. So what happens for some reason is it treats the audio as a camera angle, and I don't have sound. So I don't know what the deal is there. I don't know if I'm missing a step, if one of you knows what's causing that. But what I end up having to do is I'll go here. Let me delete that. And I'll actually sync it first. So I'll find each one of these, ACAM, BCAM, DLG. Scene one, take one, scene one, take one, and scene one, take one. And then I'll right click and I'll say auto sync audio based on waveform. And you can see it successfully linked. And now I can go in there and I can create my clip based on sound. And then S1, T1, and then create. And now I can take that, drag it into my timeline, and I've got sound. You can see that we actually have sound down here now. All right. Now, for those of you who are on scripted narrative film sets, you will have situations where you have a lot of take numbers. So, there's some where we have 7, 9, 10. There's some Hollywood directors who will do 40 takes, and I try not to go to that extreme. I don't want to do that to our actors. We're also on a time crunch with any set. You only have a certain finite amount of time that you can do each scene. You're trying to stick to a very rigid, pre-created time schedule for how much time you can spend on each scene. So, even if you want to do 100 takes, you've probably got other scenes that you need to film that day. You're doing what do we do, Mel? 10 hours? So
10 hours.
10, yeah, and anything over 10 hours is time and a half for your actors and your crew by law. So we never really, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and now that we're becoming SAG, that's going to change to 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, you want to be conscious of that time frame, how much time you're on set. But in any case, my point is that you're going to have multiple take numbers for every scene. So this is scene one, take one. Now you can see here that for scene one, we actually have up to 4 takes. All right. So in those situations, some of you are probably wondering, hey, Alyssa, which take number do you use? Do you actually sit there and watch every take? I will watch every take, because what will happen is I've found that 1/2 of the delivery of take 4 may be really good, and the first half of it not so good, but the first half of take 3 is really good, but the second half is not so good. And so I'll actually mix take numbers. So I would actually watch the multiple takes when you're doing this. And my advice is, I don't know. I can hear my voice. Mel, can you go on mute whenever you're not talking, and then when you start talking, unmute, because I can hear myself in your microphone. Mel is like literally on the other side of the wall. So let me. Oh, thanks. Okay, so Mel, I'm still getting. Are you on mute? Yeah, you're on mute. Why am I getting that? Where's that reverb coming from? That's weird. Okay, never mind. Hopefully it's not distracting or bothering any of you, but I can hear it. Anyway.
Yeah, and just a heads up, I'm wearing headsets. I'm wearing my AirPods, so you shouldn't hear anything from the outside. It's quiet out here.
Okay. All right. So okay. Should you go with the last take? Yes, typically the last take is the best take because I'll wrap on the scene. So when I get that perfect take, I'll wrap the scene. But it is possible that you the entire take is not so great. So yeah, I would tend to go with the last take, but look at the other takes and see if there's any other dialogue you want to grab from those other takes. So we just did take 1. Let's do take 2. Oops. Need to sync first. Okay, so that was a successful sync. Now, what do you do if you don't have a successful sync and you don't have time code? If you can't sync based on waveform and you have no time code, guess what? You got to do it manually. Now, manually isn't that hard, and I covered this in my previous editing video where I created that illustration for you on how I used to do it manually, where I would layer the different camera angles and then organize them by take number. It's kind of the same thing where what I would do is if you want to still do a multicam clip approach, but the audio isn't syncing, create a multicam clip with just the cameras. And then you're going to have to go in there, grab the audio for that take number and place it on the timeline and just line it up. That's really the only thing I can recommend. It's just going to be a very manual process, unfortunately. All right. So it does not look like we have a take 3 for some reason. I can't remember why. But we have a 1, 2, and 4. And so we've got, we're going to skip 3 and we're just going to jump straight to 4. Oops. All right, got a successful sync. I always have that moment like I'm sweating in my seat, like, oh, is it going to sync? Is it going to sync? All right. Now let's create our multicam clip. And we're going to use, let's see, we're going to use sound. And yeah, everything looks good. File name, angle sync sound, and don't move clips. Okay, let's do that for 2 because I forgot to do that. All right, so now we have 1, 2, and 4. So we have scene 1, take 1 here. Now let's move scene 1, take 2. And scene 1, take 4. And now I know you guys can't hear the audio, but
We have one question from Mark Harrison. In Multicam, if my sound is captured in my master cam, how will I work with the audio?
in Multicam, if your sound is captured by your master camera,
Correct.
how do you work that out? That's actually more simple. So you don't have to worry about syncing audio then. So what will happen is when you create your multicam clip, it's gonna use the sound from that camera. The only reason it becomes more complicated when you add a complexity to it is when you have an external sound recorder. For us, it's the sound device is Mix Pre 10. So that's why we're having to go through all these hoops to make sure that sound is properly, and you can all see the waveform here. But that's the other thing. The other reason that it becomes increasingly more complicated is because we have an external sound recorder. So if you actually are using in-camera mic, awesome, more power to you. That's actually going to make it easier for you in your multicam clips. All right, so all right, let's see. Mel, can you hear the sound from the video? I'm wondering if you can hear it, if everyone can hear it. Probably not, right? It's
I
not
can't
grabbing
hear
it.
it. Yeah.
All right, let me see.
No.
Let me see if it's possible to change the audio to PC sound. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Mel, I can hear that for your microphone, whatever you're doing with your mic.
I'm just making it closer to my mouth so I can get clear audio.
Okay, so to switch between angles, I'm going to show all of you how to do that. So this is a good angle. I'm going to start probably right here. Okay. So as she's kind of squinting her eyes, I kind of want the audience to see what she's squinting at. So I'm going to switch to, oh, it doesn't look like we have him in frame on this camera. However, I bet we have him. So let me mark that. I'm going to create a marker right here. So I'm going to hit M and I'm going to grab from another take. All right, we see, oh, no, too far in. Do we have one? All right, we don't have one on this take either. Okay, so let's see if we have B-roll of him at the coffee machine. All right, so let's go to our file list. And what I typically do is I label B-roll on the take number. So I'll put the scene number and then I'll put B1, B2, B3 to indicate that it's B-roll. So I don't see B-roll for the first scene, unfortunately. So there's nothing we can really use. So we can't move to a shot of him at the coffee maker. Let's see if there's I want to say there's one where he's at the window and maybe we can just clip it and move it. Oh yeah, let's see. Oh, can't use that either because she's in frame. Oh, here we go. Yeah, right here. How did I miss that? Okay, so if we switch to this, right, and we hit the number 2, I'm hitting the number 2 on my keypad, and or you can just click here and it'll switch to 2. We've got this. We can use this B-roll right here. Okay, so I'm gonna actually hit B for blade. I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna hit A to switch back to arrow. And I'm going to just pick this up. And what I did was I held down my option key for those of you on a PC Alt, but I held down my option key and it created a copy of that clip. And now I'm going to drag it over here to the marker. All right. So let's see what you all think. Maybe a little sooner. Oh, I was a little off. All right. So how cool is that? All right. So we've got him. I don't know what all of you think, but I think that looks pretty cool. We can see, you know, we're telling a story here, right? Every decision that you make as an editor should be in reinforcing the story that's being told. All right, so she's squinting her eyes. Maybe I kind of want to move that over a little bit. Don't be afraid to use markers. Fill your timeline up with markers if you want, but you know, don't worry about, you can always delete them and move them. All right, so I think right when she starts squinting her eyes would be fun. And do you all of you see that reflection of him in the mirror? That's why you also want to make sure that you don't use B-roll of him over here at the window when she's squinting, because there's an inconsistency there. So you notice we grab B-roll of him at the coffee maker. So I think here would be good because she's really squinting hard. Okay, so let's see how that looks. And maybe we want to make that a little longer. I don't like cuts that are too short. It bugs me. All right. All right, so I want to grab a little bit more of her squinting. So let's move that over just a bit. Yeah, I like that. So then we're probably ready to cut to angle 2. Now, if we feel like, you know, this is dragging on too long, we can also do a jump cut where maybe like right here, right as her gun is passing the frame, we can blade cut here and then just cut maybe to like right here. Let's see how that looks. All right, now I'm going to hit Option Y, and what that will do is highlight every clip to the right of my playhead. All right, let's see how that looks. So, you know, it really, remember, you are in charge of pacing as an editor, and pacing is so important in editing. You got to get that pacing right. So maybe, you know, maybe we bring it, maybe we cut to it a little bit further back, maybe not so soon. So I like that. That was pretty good, right? All right, so all right, so now remember we are in multicam, so that means we do have another angle we can flip to. All right, now the other thing I want to remind you of is, remember, usually in a scene, your cameras are going to be moving around. So this is clearly, I can look at this right now. Can any of you tell me what kind of angle this is, or what kind of shot these are? What kind of shot is this? If you look at right here, what kind of shot is that? This kind of shot, you notice we're not in the action. We're kind of, you know, we're far back. We're not in it. We're not in it. So this is an establishing shot. It's what's called an establishing shot or a wide shot. So you don't want to be hanging on an establishing shot too long. So we have an establishing here. Maybe we want to flip to actually get into the conversation. Maybe we'll bring the audience into that conversation. All right. So let's go back to our media library and find that, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we did. All right. So here I can see that there's a 1B. You see that? So usually whenever we create different angles, we'll add a letter to the scene number. So if we're shooting scene 1, and we have our establishing shots right here, our wide angle, our wide shots, if you see a 1B, it means we've got a different angle. And look at this. This is a lot more up Look at that. That's way more up close and personal in that conversation. This is what's referred to as an OTS shot, or over the shoulder. Okay. So let's create some multicam clips for these 1Bs. So we have 1B take 1. Okay, 1B take 1, 1B take 1. Okay, right click. Let's hope that audio syncs. Okay, good. The live stream gods are working with us today. All right. So now we're going to call this S1B take 1. All right. Sounds quench, everything looks good. All right. Now we have a 1B take 1. Let's go ahead, while we're in here, let's create 1B take 2. So let's sync this audio. And let's right click and create new multicam clip, S1B T2. All right, so now we have a 1B take 2 and take 1. So let's go back to our timeline, and you can see our multicam clips are starting to add up. All right, so now we have a 1B take 1. All right, so I'm probably just going to start with 1B take 2 because it's probably the better take. And so where do we want to jump into this conversation? Maybe right when she sets her gun down. I like that. What do you all think? Let's do it right when she sets her gun down. So I'm going to highlight everything. I'm just going to kind of move this over just in case. I can just kind of move it out of my way, get it off my plate, and let's do S1BT2 now. Now be careful you don't overwrite stuff when you throw things on the timeline and you can't see. You can see, I think I overwrote that. I sure did. Okay, so be careful of that. Okay. Turn on my magnet. Oh, looks like this may have locked up. Yeah, it did. All right. There we go. If that happens, I don't know if it's a refresh bug, but just, make sure I usually flip to source and go back to multicam, and it usually unfreezes it. All right, so we actually started from the top on this, it looks like. So, I mean, if we wanted to, we could grab this as B-roll as well. But I'm happy with what we chose. All right, so let's start right from where she sets that gun down. Okay, did you see that right here? Do all of you see that? Never use a clip where the actor accidentally looked at the camera. This looks like she's looking at the camera, which is what's called breaking the fourth wall. Is it fourth wall? Third wall? Fourth wall. I think it's breaking the fourth wall. Let me just make sure I don't want to steer you all wrong. Breaking the fourth wall. Yeah. So breaking the fourth wall is basically when the actor looks at the camera and starts talking to the audience. You'll see this in, Mel, what was the name of that female Hulk show on Marvel we were watching for a while?
Ooh, I can't remember.
Was it Hulk? No.
She-Hulk?
She-Hulk law. She was a lawyer. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was She-Hulk.
Yeah, for those of you who were watching She-Hulk on Disney Plus, she broke the fourth wall throughout that series. And so what she would do is she would turn to the camera and start talking to it. When you see this, if you're going to do that, that's great. It adds a certain creativity to a show, but you have to do it. Mel, can you go back on mute, please? if you're going to break the fourth wall, you need to be consistent with it. So I'm not going to break the fourth wall here in the kitchen and then immediately, you know, and not break the fourth wall the rest of the show. So you really have to stick with it. Mel, I need you to go on mute. I'm going to mute you. Okay. All right. So let's see here. All right. So we're going to grab it right when so we don't want to use that where she looks at the camera. And that, it's, if you're wondering why that, look, it happens. I've seen like the most seasoned actors accidentally look at the camera. It's right there in their face. And I don't know if you saw that, everyone, but like if I use my jog wheel here, you can see it's not really, I don't think it's all that intentional. She's grazing it. Do you see that? She's doing this eye roll, but she stopped in front of the camera lens and so it's like it's kind of like a sweep of her eyes, but it doesn't look good. You never want to use a clip where an actor is looking at the lens. All right, so I'm going to start here probably. All right, so I'm going to start there. And we're going to do it right where she sets that gun down, which I think is right here. So again, use markers. And then now we can switch to his angle. Again, when you're switching back and forth in dialogue and you're capturing different sides of that conversation, you don't have to always cut to that person before they start talking. Let maybe one or two words come out and then cut over. Okay, it's an editing technique. Sorry, all of you are going to have to lip sync, lip read. All right.
T. Lopez says a fire extinguisher is distracting.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so we can actually handle that when we get to grading. We can, a lot of the techniques I've taught all of you before in using power windows, also vignetting, grabbing things, or even if it's too much in the scene, there's things you can do to actually remove it. You can remove objects as well, and I'll show all of you how to do that. Or, you can use crop and crop it out depending on where in the frame it is. All right, so I think that scene is pretty well done. I mean, if we wanted to, we could probably use some of this, angle right here where he's just kind of contemplating that confrontation he just had with his sister. It's up to you. Right. All right. So I feel good about that edit. Now, so just kind of stop there. So that's scene 1. Oops. Why don't we do this? What I did was I held down Shift Delete and it deleted everything and then it brought everything over to the left. So we've got scene 1 here. Now we can go ahead and move on to scene 2. Okay, so scene 2, take 1. Why don't I see dialogue for take 1? Huh. All right, so let's go to scene 2, take 2. Scene 2, take 2. Scene 2, take 2. So dialogue A and B. And we'll auto sync audio. All right, it looks like we have a failure to align the clips. The red is not aligning. All right. So it was able to align it to B, but for some reason A is not aligning. Let's look at it. All right, so what we're gonna do is let's create our multicam clip anyway and work through that. Now you can actually expand out your multicam clip on the timeline and move things around manually, and that's what we're going to do. So I'll show you how to do that. Scene 2, take 2, based on sound, sequential, create. Okay, that's fine. We're aware of the problem, and then let's move on to scene 2, take 3. Okay, so camera A's got an issue with its waveform for some reason, which is fine. Let's just create new multicam clip. That's fine. And then we'll do scene 2, take 4. Let's see if this one will sync. Nope. Let's create a new multicam clip.
Alyssa speaks Spanish once in a while, since she used to live in Mexico for like 4 years.
Yeah, I know enough to be dangerous. Mel, do we have a Spanish speaker?
Yes.
Oh, Don. Awesome. Mel, you want to handle that one? Mel actually speaks Spanish too.
When I first met Alyssa, I thought she was from Mexico because she kept cursing in Spanish.
You're not supposed to tell them I curse. Mel, you want to handle his question?
I think they're just talking with each other, validating if he's a colorist or not. So
got it. All right, scene 2, take 4. That's good. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to deal with this. Scene 2, take 2. All right, so because camera A failed to sync, we actually are going to have to manually stitch that in. And then T2, T3. And then T4. Now we do have a bunch of B-roll for this scene as well. Let me see, where's it at? There it is. Yeah. So here you can see we have B-roll of Sadie writing down on some kind of notepad, kind of like as a scene setting. I think we have one of her brother entering frame. Yep. So we could use this B-roll, which would be kind of cool, I think. All right, so I think it would be cool if we had maybe like to set the scene, we will start out with maybe an establishing shot of her writing down on a piece of paper. So let's grab this. So this would be B2B7. Let me grab that B2B7. Okay, so I'm hitting I for in and O for out, and it allows me to just grab that portion of the video, so I don't have to deal with grabbing the whole video and then trimming it. So I'm going to grab this first. Okay. So there's my B-roll. And then maybe we'll cut to her brother entering the scene. Okay. All right, so now, as all of you can see, I started out with take 4. So I'll start out with the latest take as my master, and then I'll stitch in stuff from other takes if I need to. All right, so okay, so now I want to grab the other angle from A. So if we right click, we can open in timeline. All right. And so here is this is the multicam clip. Okay. Is right here. So now we can stitch in A and line that up with what do all of you think I'm going to use to line it? I'll give you a hint. It starts with S or C, depending on what you call it. Slate. I'm going to line it up with the slate or the clapper. Okay. So right when that hits, right there, that's what we're aligning on. Okay, that's how the auto sync works. Is it's looking for similarities in those between the external sound recorder and the waveform in the camera. Now, I don't know what's going on. Let's take a look at the waveform for cam A and find out what's wrong with it. There's probably really no waveform there. That's the V Raptor. So this was before we purchased the Airy Alexa Mini LF. So our A cam was the V Raptor. All right, so we want, this is what everyone, which this is, okay, so if you want to know, what multicam clip you're working with, it's down there to the far left, and that's scene 2 take 4. So let's find scene 2 take 4 for A cam and find out what the heck is going on with that. Again, if you don't see columns you want, you can go here, you can uncheck everything. And we can just do scene, take, and camera. All right. All right, so scene 2, take 4 for camera A is what we want. So it's right there. All right, so now I can actually drag this to the timeline and we have the other camera angle. All right. So now if you look at that, there's really no sound there at all. If I bring the sound up, you can start to see it. Okay. So what's going on is, I think basically the decibels on cam A on the V Raptor, I think were all the way down. So basically there was no camera mic. So I think this is the clapper right here. So do all of you see that right there? Those two marks where the clapper hit, where the slate hit? I think that's what those are. So let's see. All right, looks like it may be one of them. Yeah. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's the first hit. So right there. All right, so it was way off. That has nothing to do with the clapper. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mark it right where that clapper hit. And then I'm going to try and line it up with where it hit on the rest of the time frame. And then we'll have this as an additional angle. All right. All right, so it looks like this was the camera. I know you guys can't hear it, but I can hear the first AC who's doing the slate. She's actually calling out camera A. So remember, there's two cams. So there's a camera A slate and a camera B slate. There we go. And you want to make sure it's perfectly aligned, or your dialogue's not going to match up with the mouths.
T. Lopez is asking, what is our process of hiring your cinematographers?
Mel, you want to handle that?
Yeah.
That's camera department.
Being that I'm the DP on set, we tried to, as we expanded the team, we tried to hire people that were a seasoned person for my camera operator, because I need someone who knows the equipment really well and can put together a rig fairly fast without breaking anything. And of course, we hire someone who's less seasoned, almost like a junior person who wants to aspire to be a camera operator. So a first AC and a second AC. First AC is going to be important because they're like they're very niched and they're very technical on the team. So they know everything from connecting the camera to Alyssa's director station, where she actually can see everything on her monitor screen. So obviously the Wi-Fi, the Holland connectors that we have, and the wireless connectors that we have that go directly to her monitoring station. So the camera team is also responsible for building Alyssa's director station, which, believe it or not, takes a while, and there's a lot of connectivity between all the cameras, camera A, B, and C, and her station, so that she can actually sit in a different room than where we're actually filming and still get the view of camera A and camera B. So our process is to just go through and really not just understand their technical acumen, but to also see how well they work under pressure and personality, because it's a very tight team. So we can't have any people creating any kind of drama on set, especially when we have a space allocated for a certain amount of time. So so far so good. We have a great team. Julio, Nick, Steve, who's also DIT, is on the camera team. He worked.
Mel, you also want to bring up how we're going to be actually working with another team as well in this new series.
Yeah,
You want
this
to talk
is
about
super
Enter?
exciting. Yeah, so this is going to be our first time where we're actually working with another production. So we're going to have another co-production team who's based out of Reno, so which is going to be phenomenal for us. So we're actually going to have a second unit director of photography alongside me. So someone who's very senior, who's done several productions, everything from script narrative to commercial. So he brings along a lot of seasoned members like first AC, second AC, the grip as well for lighting. So it was super exciting. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a budget, you try to make it work with everyone. And we've gone through a lot of individuals and some have left to go to different places. So you just have to use best judgment. And to me, the most important thing, and I think Alyssa can speak to this too, is making sure everyone gets along on set, because you're with these people so long on production. So you try to make it fun too.
All right, so I didn't have that alignment correct before. So, you need to go in and you need to get it right. All right, let me listen to this.
T. Lopez has all the good questions today. He's got another question that says, how do you deal with deadline stress?
Hold on one second, Mel. I need to listen to this audio.
Cool.
All right, so that was camera B. All right, so I'm going to mark that as camera B. So I don't know if all of you saw that or have been following along while Mel was talking, but so I noticed that when I went back to the timeline, camera A wasn't lined up properly. So I probably aligned it with the wrong slate hit, which is what I'm going in and correcting now. So I can hear this the first AC saying camera B. So that's the slate hit on camera B. So I marked it. So camera A should be somewhere over here. Okay, so this, I don't know if all of you remember that, but I said that I think this was a clapper hit. That's exactly what it is. It's the camera A hit. So I'd say probably like right there. And now I can go ahead and just align that right there. Okay. And that looks correct. All right, so now to get back to the timeline, I'm just going to double click this and all of you should see now. And if that, again, there seems to be a refresh bug or something, but when you go back to your timeline, just go back to multicam and you should see it. And now I've got angle 1 and angle 2. How fun is that? Okay, so now this looks right. This looks right. Okay. All right, so that was a bad take. So the actor wanted to start again. So we're going to now delete this. You just got to work with it as the editor. Got to work through it.
I don't know if it's just me, but their faces look still really orange.
Yeah, we haven't graded yet. We're just editing. This is raw.
Yeah.
So one thing that I don't like about this take is, and the reason why we didn't do it that way is you'll notice that this is a close up, of Sadie, but this is an establishing, and I don't like that flip between a close up of her and then back to an establishing. I want an over the shoulder of him as he's talking. So let's go find that. Okay. So this is another establishing. All right. So we have establishing here, right? We don't have any OTS. All right. So let's see if it exists. Let's see if it was even thought of when we were on set. So that was scene 2, take 4. So let's see if there's a 2B. There is. There's a 2B, and then there's a 2C. So here's 2B. Here's 2C. And I like this angle. That's a great angle, I think, for her. And then if we grab 2B, I'm assuming that's, let me see, 2C. That was, what was that, B? That was B, and then A. So, I mean, it doesn't look like at the time, Mel, we grabbed an OTS of Ollie. It looks like we only have a close-up of Sadie. All right. So, you got to work through this as editors. You can't go back to set. You're in post-production. You can't go back to set to get that angle. So it's just, you got to make sure that you understand the importance of creating shot lists, making sure that every shot was that we got every shot. Mel, do you remember why we didn't get an OTS of Ollie?
I want to say it's because the other side of that space was full of equipment, and we couldn't really. We had lighting that was in the way.
Okay.
So I believe you made the choice when we brought it to you, which were the priority shots you wanted. And all of us knew going in we were going to miss an OTS shot.
Yeah. So if you think about the story here, like the dialogue, who's the majority of the dialogue is being delivered from who? It's being delivered from Sadie. So, I probably made that. Remember, this was a year ago, so I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. So I can't remember why I made the decision at the time to do that. But I'm assuming that because she's a majority of the dialogue, that we chose to really just focus on her close up. I mean, this is a good shot of him as he's walking away, but I'm going to assume that that's why we did that. So I like this angle. I definitely want to grab it. So let's grab 2C2. So 2C2, 2C2, and 2C2. And we're going to hope that this syncs. It probably won't. All right, that's okay. So let's create, come back.
Thanks for joining us, Ollie. Ollie's in the room.
Hey, Ollie. Thanks for being here. All right, so we're going to work through that like I showed you. So, repetition, the more times we do it together, the more it'll sink in. So we're going to create a new multicam clip using selected clips. And we're going to call this scene 2CT2. And we're going to leave all the rest alone. All right, that failed. That's fine. We know how to deal with that. So let's go ahead and bring that onto the timeline. All right, so I feel like we definitely have the establishing. We're good on establishing. So let's bring in 2C. and work with that. See, we're only on scene 2 of like 40 scenes, everyone. So you see why editing and color grading takes so long, right? Editing, I have so much respect for editors. It is a very time-consuming, laborious process. And we haven't even gotten into the inserts and B-roll yet. Right now, we're just organizing dialogue and getting those, getting all that dialogue done. All right. So, all right. So now let's fix this problem. Let's weave in camera A. So we're going to open it in timeline. So you can see here, angle 1 is camera B. So let's grab angle 2 or camera A. And this is 2CT2. So let's look for scene 2C, take 2. Camera A, 2C, take 2. All right, so I don't want to grab everything, right? I just want to grab the video. So I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm going to just grab this video icon, and I'm going to drag it down. Ooh, what just happened? Oh, Davinci Resolve crashed. Oh, man, we need to start like a jar and put money in it. Like every time Davinci Resolve crashes, whatever, we'll drop like $1 in the jar every time it crashes, and then we'll do a big jar of money as a giveaway. All right, Night Studios, Dark Ops Part 1. All right, it's life, right? Live stream gods were being good to us. We were lucky. All right, so I haven't upgraded 1864 yet. I'm kind of hesitant in that, but we'll see. All right.
I guess while we're waiting, T. Lopez asked how we deal with deadline stress.
Oh yeah, so deadline stress. Good question, actually. I'm like, Jesus, please don't tell me my timeline's gone. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so, okay, deadlines. Look, we're really lucky in the fact that with Dark Ops, the only one who was really holding the deadlines over us was our co-producers, and we have a really, really good relationship with them. And so, when dates started, when dates slip, and dates do slip, you communicate it, you explain it, and just, hey, look, the more we rush this, you're gonna trade off on quality, right? The less time you spend on something, the less quality it's going to be. The more time you spend on something, the greater the quality. So you just explain that and explain, hey, look, I need more time with this, it's going to look a lot better the more time I give to it. So let's push this out a week. The other thing was, because we own the TV network, we were the distribution. So, we really didn't need to worry about that. Now this new series, I know I'm being very vague about it because we can't talk too much about it right now, but this new series, because it's on SAG, it's a SAG contract for new media, it's going out to streaming, it's going out to distribution. And so we will have major deadlines with that platform, and we will need to stick to them. So yeah, it's going to be a whole new world for us, but I'm excited about it. But yeah, my advice to you on that question is, if you think that you can get something done in a week, tell them 2 weeks. Double it. Always double it. And I know you're hesitant too, because it's going to sound like a long time, but maybe you give them the disclaimer, like, hey, look, as a disclaimer, just so you know, I take how long I think it'll get done and I double it. So, you can give that disclaimer that, hey, look, I know 4 weeks sounds long, but I think I can get it done in 2 weeks, but I'm going to tell you 4. And then, that way if you realistically think it'll only take 2 weeks and you take 3 weeks, you're not late, you're actually still early. So my advice to all of you is, before you give someone a deadline, a date you can get it done by, double it. Now, I could be a lot better at that. That's something I'm going to be working on in the new year in 2024, is doubling my estimations to people on how long it'll take for me to get something done. It's something we all have to work at. So good question. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up in timeline. All right, because we have to weave in camera A. Oh. Really? All right. And then, or I like to sort by scene number. Okay, and then this is scene 2C2. 2C, take 2. All right. All right, don't crash on me. Oh my God, it crashed again. Okay, I don't know what the deal is. Let's try one more time. Oh, we've gone 2.5 hours. Jesus. Okay. Probably should call it quits anyway. Okay, I'll try it one more time, and if it crashes, we'll end the stream. Should probably end the stream anyway. Oh, actually, Sinkamani's going to be here in 30 minutes, right, Mel? Yeah. Okay. All right. We should probably end this course.
Yeah, isn't he going to be here too?
Yeah, he's going to be here at 2:00. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just give it one more chance. I probably just need to reboot my machine. All right. Let's try this again. Right click, open in timeline. What I'm going to do is, instead of dragging it, I'm going to put it on the timeline a different way. 2C take 2. We want just the video. Hey, Mel, go on mute, please.
Sure.
Oh, it crashed. Okay. All right. I'm going to just reboot. So thank you so much for joining us today. Unfortunately, these things happen. So when you are creating a multicam clip, oops, sorry, everyone, let me turn off screen share. When you are creating a multicam clip in Davinci Resolve and you cannot get an audio sync to work, just create the multicam clip with one of the cameras that's able to successfully sync audio, like we're doing. Right click on the clip in the timeline and say open in timeline, and then you can create all the additional camera angles you want manually. But you need to make sure when you are doing that you have to manually line up that camera angle with either the clapperboard, the slate, and find that exact cue point where that slate hits, and you'll have a perfect alignment of audio. So that's all you do. And then we saw that with the last clip where I was able to successfully do it without Davinci Resolve crashing, but where I just dragged in camera A, and then all of you saw in the multicam window, the new camera angles showed up, and we could flip between them. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know these are long, and I appreciate all of you joining us and sitting through it. Ollie, good to see you. Lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us, T. Lopez. You asked great questions. Say thanks for all of the collaboration and speaking up. Everyone wasn't quiet today. Dawn, thanks for joining us. We will see you in the next live stream, everyone. We will be working on the cinematic lighting video tutorial today with Chris, who will be arriving here in 30 minutes. So that's going to be fun. Please don't forget to join as a member, support the channel. You will get access to awesome perks. All you need to do is go to our YouTube channel, hit that join button, and you can join and select a membership level. Really appreciate the support. We've already had people signing up as members. Definitely join. You will get access to some amazing perks at different levels. Anderson, good to see you. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays. Have a very safe and happy holiday season. We will see you soon.